Is Josh Jacobs a must start? Week 14, running back, start sit. That's coming up next. Week 14 is here, and what a ride it's been for Josh Jacobs fantasy managers all season long. At first, you're thinking, man, this guy really not panning out. And then you're thinking, maybe he's starting to pan out. And then Kenyon Drake goes down. You're like, has he reached must-start territory? And we kind of are at that point where it does almost look like Josh Jacobs is a must-start. And in Week 14, I think he kind of is. When you talk about a guy that was splitting touches with Kenyon Drake, but now Kenyon Drake done for the season with a broken ankle. Yeah, what'd that lead to? 9 receptions in Week 13, because that was a big part of what Kenyon Drake brought to this backfield, was being involved in the passing game. This is a guy who has 20-plus touch upside. He easily can be rushing the ball 14 to 16 times. He can easily catch the ball, obviously, 6 to 9, 10 times in this offense that is severely lacking pass targets. Think about this. Who in the fuck are they passing the ball to other than Hunter Renfrow right now? Darren Waller out for Week 14. Bryan Edwards, non-existent in the year of 2021. Well, we know what the fuck happened to Henry Ruggs. We don't want to go there, but he's gone. And what, Zay Jones? It's supposed to be Zay Jones as your number 2 option in the passing game. Right now, it looks like Josh Jacobs very well might be the number 2 passing option for the Raiders in Week 14, and that means a big, hefty workload for him in the catches. So as a PPR guy, is a must-start guy. And we're talking about a guy going up against Kansas City, and they have given up a decent amount of touchdowns on the ground. Now, granted, their defense is playing a lot better, but I do think it's due time for Josh Jacobs to once again roll into the end zone, maybe even fall into the end zone a couple times. They need him to come through against Kansas City in a big-time division matchup with the Chiefs. So Josh Jacobs, to me, must start in Week 14. And I think a lot of people are there, as he only has 16% of managers that feel they have a better option than a guy that has 20-plus touch upside. This week is a put up or shut up moment for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Now, in the wide receiver edition, the put up or shut up is literally just you can drop him if he doesn't come through this week. I'm not at all going to say that about Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but it is, fracturing the circle of trust, a circle that I like to talk about quite regularly on this channel. And we talk about a guy who is on the precipice of a great schedule, starting with the Las Vegas Raiders, who have been terrible against running backs. The Raiders have given up 9 rushing touchdowns to the running back position and ceded at least 103 yards to the position in 6 of their games in 2021. That is a good situation to line up and go, wait, remember that moment in 2021 where before Clyde Edwards-Helaire got injured, he was doing the back-to-back 100-yard games, finding the end zone, being involved in the passing game, finding the end zone. Like, remember that guy? That's the guy we want to see, because right now, he's been a really low-end running back too, a middling flex at this point, and we want to see him get back up into that mid-range RB2 status that can get him on any given week running back 1 status, because, he's got Vegas this week. He's got the Chargers. He's got Pittsburgh. Do you see what happened with not Alexander Madison, but Dalvin Cook against Pittsburgh on Thursday night? Pittsburgh couldn't stop, and it wasn't because Dalvin Cook was extremely awesome. They made some quite big holes in the running game, that offensive line did, and made things easy for Dalvin Cook. So Pittsburgh's defense isn't this defense that we have feared in the past, and they're not a team that just shuts down the running game. Watt's been dealing with injuries, so that's, you got Cincinnati, in week 18, if you want to go that far. I mean, 14, 15, in week 17. So your finals is week 17 with Cincinnati. That's not a bad matchup either. All of these are plus matchups for the running back position. So this is about the put up or shut up, is about the circle of trust, because Clyde Edwards-Helaire doesn't get a great amount of touches, but he does have a good floor of touches. In games that he's finished healthy, he has at least 13 touches this season, and that is at least a good floor. We know he's going to be getting at least 13 touches in this game, and I think he has upwards of 16 to 19 touch upside. He hasn't broken past the 19 touch upside, so I don't think this is a guy that really gives us 20 plus touch upside. But give me 15, 16 touches against these defenses. I think he's a solid mid-range RB2, a high-end flex moving forward, as long as he can take care of business in week 14. So it's a put up or shut up moment for the circle of trust for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who 64% of managers currently have starting in ESPN leagues. Just a quick reminder for you guys to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. A reminder that you can leave some comments, ask some start-sit questions there. I will interact with you. I will get back to you in as timely a manner as I possibly can. And it definitely will be before kickoff on Sunday morning. So if you do have any start-sit questions you want to throw them by me, send them in the comment section. You can also send them in at 1080 The Fan on Sunday morning. I'll tell you how you can do that later on. But if you have any start-sit questions, go ahead and leave them in the comment. I will get back to you. Let's talk about someone who is in a position to succeed. And he hasn't been terrible this season, but, being injured part of the season and just really hasn't lived up to the talent level we know he can be. He's not as started as you would think based on the current matchup that he has, and that's Saquon Barkley, who's 78% started, so 22% of managers out there don't want Saquon Barkley in their lineup. And like I said, he hasn't been fantastic, but he hasn't been too terrible this season. And when you take into account he's got the LA Chargers, in week 14, who've given up touchdowns to running backs in 8 straight games. Feeling pretty good about that. Add into the fact that he's got 16 receptions his last 3 games. That's good news against this defense. This defense literally is terrible against running backs. Only 3 teams have backfields that have rushed under 107 yards against this team. The Chargers can't stop running back. If Saquon Barkley can't get it done this week, then we're just probably going to just have to safely pass through the playoffs, right? Like this is a perfect storm for him to finally have I'm not going to say a vintage Saquon Barkley game, but a good game. I expect a minimum of 15 points out of Saquon Barkley this week against the Chargers. And if he can't do that, then we, like I said, have to reevaluate the situation moving into the playoffs with Saquon Barkley, because this is a situation where Saquon Barkley should easily get 15 points. Okay? Drop the mic. Done with Saquon Barkley. How about somebody who it's not their week? And this was a guy who last week I had as a must-add. He comes in with that RB2 value, high flex upside, and I still think he brings you decent flex upside this week, but I don't think it's a good week to start him, and that's Jamaal Williams, 44% started, running back for the Detroit Lions, and he's got the Denver Broncos this week. Now, Jamaal Williams didn't really come through last week. He wasn't terrible, but he did leave a little bit of a bad taste in your mouth when it was all said and done. He's not somebody I'm really excited about. And then you take into account what the Denver Broncos have done since they added Kenny Young at the middle linebacker position when they traded for him with the LA Rams earlier this season. They really shored up this run defense for the Denver Broncos, and they have been very, very tough to run against. They have not given up a touchdown on the ground to running backs in 8 of their 12 games. So this is a team in that 12-game span. Guess what? They were missing Alexander Johnson. Josie Jewell went down, and that's why Baron Browning, their other middle linebacker that is a rookie that they took in the draft, was injured. So then they had to trade for Kenny Young. Now, once again, going back to the Kenny Young, Baron Browning came back. Now, all of a sudden, run defense that was giving up touchdowns for 4 straight weeks hasn't given up touchdowns in like 4 or 6 straight weeks. So you do the math. Tough defense to run against. Jamaal Williams not running extremely well. They will give up some plays in the passing game, but as we've seen, Williams hasn't had much of a passing role. We thought maybe that would expand last week. They were in a tough matchup with Minnesota, even got the win, right? They got the upset win, but that didn't come with Williams being a factor in the passing game. In fact, he was anything but a factor in the passing game. He had a marginal role with 1 reception. So there's a lot of question marks with Jamaal Williams in the last week. If you're trying to use him as a flex with a lot of upside, I don't think he comes with a lot of upside. And if you need upside, I think you should look elsewhere at the flex position, because Jamaal Williams isn't even really, you could say maybe on volume he'll be an RB2. He should get double-digit rushes against this defense, but I think he really does bring very low RB2 value, and I really do feel like it's more flex value and that you can find better flex value than Jamaal Williams. And finally, let's just beware. It's hard to get away from this guy based on his talent, and we know how he can be used, but Kareem Hunt, who is only 35% started, so there's a lot of people that have already decided to beware Hunt, but man, we look back at what Cleveland did back in Week 12 when they played the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore. Boy, that was a mess of a game. If you're playing anybody in that game in fantasy, woo! I think the only one that really came through for you was, I believe, as I recall, Jarvis Landry actually came through pretty big because their secondary is terrible. It's just toast at this point. And I do believe Mark Andrews came through pretty big. But outside of that, I think everybody else pretty much let you down. Marquise Brown had a marginal performance in PPR, but if that's going to be your basement, that's a pretty much a must-start guy. You look at his target share. So, but we're not talking about those guys. We're talking about Kareem Hunt, that whole game, that whole situation. It was kind of a mess. And the one thing that we looked at is Baltimore really sold out against defending the run. They didn't believe in the passing game. And frankly, the passing game didn't do a ton. It had a couple moments, but in reality, it was a good game plan to sell out against the running attack because Cleveland abandoned the run. When you look at how many rushes Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb had combined in that game, it was a very, very, very un-Browns type of game plan. It was very strange, but that was Baltimore forcing their hand into a passing attack. And they're going to try to do that again this week. Now, I do believe you gotta go with Nick Chubb if you got him. I'm going to be playing him this week. I do think that they are going to try to get back more to their identity of running the ball. That is what they do. That is their identity as an offense, ground and pound. But Baltimore's going to make it really difficult on them. And that when you look at what this passing attack's doing, it just could be another nasty, sloppy 10-13 style game the way it was in Week 12. And it's just kind of offense you want to stay away from if you can. And Kareem Hunt, managers have been used to getting away from him this season. And if you're at the point where you're still playing for the playoffs, then you really probably should get away from Kareem Hunt just for the fact that his upside is limited this week. He could very well go off the way Kareem Hunt has in the past, but he very well could give you 2 points the way he did in Week 12. just gotta really think about what Baltimore has done against the running back position since the bye. Now, like they've always been a good team making adjustments coming out of the bye. Last year, the offense was amazing out of the bye. This year, it's the running defense. And part of that, too, is teams are passing more on Baltimore than they are running. The secondary sucks. The inside of the defense, the interior is still pretty good. They're holding running backs to only 13.8 PPR points since their week 8 bye. So it's just like a guy, he's a part-time guy in a backfield that has a terrible matchup. And we saw that he only gave you 2 points the last time these teams played, which was only 2 weeks ago. Just kind of a guy that you might want to beware heading into week 14. I would like to thank you for watching. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you guys have any start-sit questions, obviously you can leave them in the comment section. I will get back to you. If you want more of a panel opinion, I joined 1080 The Fan on here in Portland, Oregon on Sunday mornings with Mike Lynch and Rashad Taylor at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. You can leave your start-sit questions with us. You can text it in to 503-250-1080. Listen live on Odyssey.com, and I will have the link in the description below. Again, thank you for watching, and if you have any other time, make sure to watch my Week 14 wide receiver start-sits as well.